We're at FreedomFest 2023, and I'm being joined by Norman Horn. Norman, welcome to FreedomFest.
Thanks, Jim. It's good to be here with you.
Us. Yeah. What are you doing here? What's your mission at this event?
So I come from the Libertarian Christian Institute. I'm the founder and president of the organization.
Wait, Libertarian and Christian?
Yeah. Yeah, so I founded the organization on the basis of thinking that I could probably become the worst conversational partner of all time.
Oh, this is showing real potential for what we're going to do here today. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, we talk about religion and politics and a lot of the problems that come with trying to initiate force against others, of course. And so our mission is to help Christians make a case for a free society.
Well, speaking as a Christian, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I was familiar with your work already.
Yeah.
So, Norman, what we're doing here, by the way, give a plug for where people can find you.
Oh, yeah, sure. So you can find us at libertarianchristians.com. And we also have 6 podcasts. I won't name them all, but you can find them on Spotify. You can find them on our website and to various types of podcast aggregators.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. So we're here doing a specific set of interviews based on this chart, which I'll go through in a second.
Yeah.
And we have a process that we've shared with, a philosophy we share with people called human respect, the philosophy of human respect. And in sharing this with people, as we've begun talking to them, we have an online beginning to this that we do, and 80% of the people, regardless of ideology, end up saying they wish there was no coercion. It's pretty cool, right?
That's pretty good, yeah.
So what we're doing is going through a little bit more details about that in the interviews that we're doing here with people. And what I would like to do with you is kind of run you through that interview so you have a chance to experience it and understand what it is that we're doing. Does that interest you?
Cool, let's do it.
All right. So let's start here. Do you believe everyone wants to be happy?
In general, yeah.
In general?
Yeah.
Is there some qualifiers?
Well, some people have a hard time being happy, and they get wallowing in that. In fact, I mean, in some respects, I think that's why it helps. That's why we need Jesus in many respects, right? But yes, in general, yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that that's our primary mission? Like, are they trying to be happier, or are they trying to be less happy?
Definitely trying to be happier.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. And would you say it's their primary mission? Like the things that they do, like maybe you're choosing to sit here right now, it's part of your happiness, right?
Yeah, so we do things in order to help make the state of being that we have better.
Okay, all right, Let me ask you 3 quick questions. Is anyone ever happier when someone steals their stuff, breaks their stuff, or defrauds them?
No, definitely not.
Is that always true?
I would say, yeah, that's always true.
Okay. Is anyone ever happier if they're physically harmed, they're attacked or assaulted in some way? Does that make them happy or no?
Not at all.
Is that always true?
Yes.
Okay. So when we see this principle kind of being, see this kind of as a universal thing, there's probably a principle underneath that somewhere. So let me...
stand to reason.
Okay, all right. So let me talk about principle just a second, because there's 2 ways that people understand that word. And the most common way that people use it is to express their own personal values, right? Okay. I have a principle that I will or won't do the following thing all the time. This is who I am, right? Mm-hmm. But that's something you chose yourself. It's a moral principle, right? You can change that if you need to. You get new information. You could say, I'm going to modify my principle. Probably not going to punish yourself too severely if you fail on it, right? But natural principles don't care about your feelings. Yeah. Natural principles are like gravity, right? Yeah. Scientific laws. Right, you see them, there's a cause and effect relationship in the universe. So we believe that we, based on the questions you and I just went through, have discovered a natural principle. It's the natural principle of human respect. You ready?
Okay.
It says that anytime someone initiates violence or steals from another person, their happiness, harmony, and prosperity will decline. Always. Okay.
That makes, it stands up.
Okay. All right. So that's the principle that we're trying to share with everybody here today. Now, I need to pause here in the midst of this action and say, so that we can play the full game and you can experience it for everybody, I need you to pick whether or not you want to be a progressive or conservative in this conversation.
I should probably, I'll go with the conservative side.
You'll pretend you're conservative?
I'll pretend.
Okay. What do you think is an issue right now that the progressives are imposing that is really offensive?
Wow, there's so many. Where do I start? Let's say that they're trying to impose higher taxation, for instance, than is something that I think is warranted.
Okay, so now you pretend you're a conservative as I ask you, how do you feel about the fact that progressives are trying to impose higher taxation on you? What does that make you feel?
It makes me feel violated. That they're not they're not treating me like that I actually earn this, that the fruit of my labors doesn't really belong to me, it belongs to somebody else. And I don't think that's right.
Okay. Why do you think they do this?
Well, because in part they believe that they are entitled to some measure of what I have earned and what I have created, usually on the basis of some, failed version of a social contract theory or something to that effect.
Okay. Do you think they do it? Do you think their intentions are good when they do this?
I would say that, in many cases, many of progressives actually do have good intentions, but good intentions don't always matter in this respect. Some of them do not have good intentions, though.
Right.
And some of them are not.
But on balance, most of the time they're doing this. They believe they're doing something to make the world a better place.
Yeah, a lot of the everyday, like just the people the person you meet on the street, they're the guy, the progressive like that. They're usually the one who is probably well intentioned but doesn't understand the consequences of the action.
Okay, why shouldn't they impose taxes on you?
Well, they shouldn't, because they didn't earn it. Like, it's not right for them to be able to just claim that they have that they have a claim on what I've earned and what I've earned and created, and in order to abscond away with that money, they actually have to threaten me to do it.
Okay.
In other words, they're not giving me a choice. I'm having to, be basically threatened at the point of jailing or some other form of violence, or else, give them the stuff.
So that coercion or that theft made you less happy.
Definitely.
Made you feel less harmony with them at that moment, right? And when they actually take the money, your prosperity goes down.
Definitely.
So you can see the principle at work there.
Yep.
But let's explore for just a moment. Why do they need to collect the taxes? What do they think they're accomplishing by doing it?
Well, sometimes they think that we live in a society, and so we need to be building not just roads and so, but also things like social services, and we need to provide universal health care, or we need to make sure that the poor are served, which those are some good goals. But if you have to steal from people, if you have to initiate violence against people in order to do it, that's not exactly a happiness increasing activity at that point.
So I noticed you just said good goals, right? So it's noble to want to make sure that people have health care and that they are
sure,
that they have welfare and so forth. What might be a way that they could more creatively, without using coercion, be able to achieve that?
Well, if in the case of, say, healthcare, there's always been charities that assist people with medical bills. I mean, those still exist now, and we could support those at a greater level. Maybe they could do that themselves. Maybe they could help solicit that support from me if they just asked.
Right. Do you think they would get farther doing that?
It's possible. It's possible. But there's a supply-demand problem too. So.
Right. Okay. So usually at this point we would flip the script a little bit, and I would put an issue back in front of you as a conservative now that is being imposed on the progressive, and ask them to begin creatively working with me on that. If we were talking to you and you were a non-libertarian, a little bit more weird to do, because it's not something we don't think like this. But that's usually the next thing we do, because what we're trying to do is distinguish values from ethics here. So values are the ways that we interact with, that we look at the world. It's who we are as a person. And so when we sit down at the very beginning of this conversation, we usually tell a conservative or progressive, be as conservative or progressive as you actually are. We're not looking to change you at all. Your values are fine, right? You go ahead and be you. But when we get into ethics here, when we choose coercion, people tend to, this is what these two parties tend to sell for the most part, is that they will use force to get your values implemented. And we're saying, instead of doing that, choose persuasion, choose voluntary cooperation, and that would be allow us to apply the principle of human respect in a moral fashion. So the principle of human respect was that every time we initiate violence against another person, we steal from them or defraud them, their happiness, harmony, and prosperity always declines.
Yeah.
So we can apply that first definition of principle back too, and say, now that we recognize this, because we're good people, we didn't use force nobody's using force here that I can see, right? That we can then apply this as a principle, as our moral principle. We can say, now, because I recognize the natural principle that these things cause a diminishment of happiness, harmony, and prosperity, I won't do them. That's not who I am. And I won't vote for it, and I won't support it. So we try to help people think through how to apply human respect in these interviews. And we have pretty decent level of success with getting them to do that.
Yeah.
It's harder for them to apply it in the reverse direction. Like everybody feels it when it's being done to them, but we try to get them to feel the other side and understand where that's at.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you for joining me.
Well, I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking with you, Jim.
Yes.
Yeah.